Hey guys, this week's podcast is brought to you by SuplexApparel.com, or as I call them, Suplex. It's a clothing brand team of pro wrestlers consisting of Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, Prince Devitt, Zack Sabre Jr., and more. Their winter range is out now. Hoodies, jackets, beanies, and more. They ship worldwide for both wrestlers and fans. SuplexApparel.com. But for now, enjoy this live show from Hamilton, Ontario, Canada.
This is The Art of Wrestling with professional wrestler Colt Cabana.
It's Colt Cabana.
Come on in, sit down, relax, have a good time. Make sure the person next to you smells okay. All right, that's a quick check. You're about to listen. I got a little too real, huh? You're about to listen to The Art of Wrestling, a professional wrestling podcast. It's a life podcast. It's a personal journal. It's an entryway into the minds, the souls, the hearts. I almost said the mind, the holes. The souls, the hearts, and the lives of the people involved in the world of professional wrestling. I am your host, Colt Cabana. Hello. I am a man who is super into Jesus. I hope you all like the decor. I'm also super into Canada, folks. Super into Canada. Super into bottles of water. Super into microphones. I'm just super. Most importantly, I am a professional wrestler, and I'm not coming to you here live in the studio. Nope. I'm at the Knights of Columbus in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, in front of a live studio audience. Before we go any further, this is a fan-supported and listener-supported podcast supported by people just like you. We give it to you free of charge every single Thursday on ColtCabana.com, iTunes, Stitcher, wherever you get your podcasts from. A couple great ways to support, rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes. Tell a friend, let somebody know. Facebook, Twitter, after the show, tell somebody next to you, congratulate them on coming, and then the person who doesn't come, tell them that they're assholes. The best way to support, though, ColtMerch.com, DigitalColt.com, t-shirts, buttons, pictures, posters, DVDs, digital downloads, premium podcasts, and, of course, not only that, but after the show, you can go to ColtMerch.table/CA next to a fireplace. Also, I do want to say that we are not only here doing a live podcast in Canada, but we are also here to celebrate 6 years, right, of Alpha One Wrestling. And, yeah, just wanted to say that. There we go. I'll take one clap. Very cool. Usually I come on here before I bring out the guests, and I'll just talk a little bit about my weekend and talk about what's going on. Yesterday I just came from House of Hardcore, for Tommy Dreamer. I debuted for that. I was very excited, and there's nothing more exciting to me than seeing Sabu with a genie. So that's a thing. If you guys have seen Sabu on your show lately, he now has a genie, and makes me laugh. I enjoy that. It's one from the first was the Sheik, the most hardcore man of all time, and then Bill Alfonso, who's after, who was it, that Beulah that just, murdered him, right? You got a little respect for him. And then it's, a woman from a 1950s sitcom. It's very odd. I wonder who's next for, who would be Sabu's next manager? I can only assume it's either the 11-year-old boy here in the crowd or the 8-year-old boy back there. What are the ages on these kids that are here? 15. I wasn't looking at you when I said 11-year-old boy. To the 15-year-old man. And I saw one back there, too. How old? 8.
Got one right.
Or he just said his name. 8 years old. What's your name, buddy? Caden. Caden, are you okay if I say fuck? Also, I'm sorry. Well, one woman was upset that I said fuck in front of Jesus. For those of you at home listening on an audio podcast, I have decided to make physical, visual enjoyments, decoration of a commemorative plate of Jesus to my left. To be honest, I thought that was Jesus to my right, but that's Mary. Am I right? Yes. Virgin Mary. Yes. Maybe not after this podcast. Ooh, we're off to a good start, right? Sad news today, guys. Nick Bockwinkel passed away. So, yeah, of course. And I actually, the first tour I ever did of Japan for 01, the first meal I ever had was with Steve Carino. Super fan named Masahori. If you ever seen him on Facebook, he has like 8 million pictures with Terry Funk, from starting in 1925 to now, and Nick Bockwinkel. And I remember Nick Bockwinkel was really cool. After my match at Korakuen Hall, like a sold out match in Korakuen Hall, he told me, I was like, what'd you think, Nick Bockwinkel? And he's like, you'll get it one day. And usually I hold gripes and spite, and bitterness forever towards people. But I was like, I'll let Nick Bockwinkel have that one. And I thought it was cool. He was like 70 years old at the time. And I was like, what'd you do this morning? And he was like, I was in my room and I did a full hour-and-a-half workout with with bands. And he was still at it. And I thought that was really cool. So I wanted to share that memory with you of Nick Bockwinkel. And then also I wanted to tell you, as we are here in Canada, the first ever live podcast I've ever done in Canada, I want to share with you my favorite Canadian wrestlers of all time. Is that all right? Okay, because there's a lot of greats. But, fuck Kevin Owens. Sami Zayn, Bret Hart. Those guys don't make this list. Coming in at number 3, Iron Mike Sharp. They tell the story that thing on his arm, they tell the story's been, I don't know if it's true or not, that he went to Andre the Giant and he was like, I need something cool for my career, like a gimmick or something, Hacksaw Jim Duggan had he had the hacksaw, but he didn't. He had a 2x4 and, that's the only example I could think of. I don't know. Jake the Snake Roberts had cocaine, Those guys on the fly. It's improv. And so he wanted something, and Andre, I guess, cut off the bottom of his boot, and he gave him that thing, and that's what was on Iron Mike Sharp's arm, was Andre the Giant's boot. That's a story that I've heard. I don't know if it's true, but I thought it was also cool. And I also, there's just something in my heart for a man that grunts that much during a match. And also always seems, and this is a tribute to my friend Brendan Burns, who would always say this, always really, really, really seems to get mad at the bottom rope. Like, and then kicks the bottom rope. Like that was his number one nemesis. And also he's, no one's ever done in real life, and Brendan would always talk about this, the comedian I do the Fringe shows with in Scotland. No one's ever done this in real life, but in wrestling it seems to be true, and Iron Mike Sharp is the number one person who does this, was when he gets mad at someone, and then he wants them to go away and he's going to leave, he does the double hand swipe. Just never been done in real life, but has been done in every single Iron Mike Sharp match ever. Number 2, Bruce Hart. No one ever says Bruce Hart. He needs a fan. I can only assume he was one of those guys in that Survivor Series match. Right? Bruce or Keith? It's a tie. And coming in at number 1, my favorite Canadian wrestler, Christian. Because when I was a teenager, it gave me real hope that my wrestling name could be Jew. And those are my favorite Canadians. All right. Thank you. All right, we got a good show, a fun show before we get to the wrestling. Please welcome my first guest to the stage, Cedric Alexander. Hello. Oh, is that on?
Is it? Yeah. Oh, okay. We're good. We're good.
We are good. How are you doing?
Fantastic.
Ooh, watch out for this. A black man in Canada. This is weird.
Hey, they
I'm
love
winning
me
you
here.
over one at a time, aren't I?
They love me here in Canada, right? Right, guys?
What do you mean by they?
You know, the Canadian people. You know, the good ones.
All right.
Good answer.
How you doing, man? You all right?
I'm doing pretty good, man. You know.
Have you been wrestling? What's your Canadian ratio? Where are you wrestling? Mainly Toronto? Have you hit some other places?
Mainly Toronto. Yeah, just Toronto.
Just
That's it.
Toronto.
That's it. That's all I got.
Where would you like to go in Canada? Do you know anything about Canada?
Not much.
I don't know anything.
No,
either.
I'm sorry.
I'll take the heat.
sorry.
With you. I really know how to make people hate people.
Don't blame me. Blame the American educational system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. You see,
How we don't have health care.
terrible. It's terrible.
Boo. What else do they hate us for?
Someone say Obama?
Shit beer. We got shit beer, right? You a beer drinker?
I am a beer drinker.
What's your beer of choice?
I'm a Bud Light guy.
Okay.
I'm a Bud. Oh, come on!
Who's your favorite Hart family member? What's your thoughts on Jesus? We're getting there. Cedric, how long you been wrestling now?
6 years.
Really?
That's it. 6 years.
Oh, get out of here. What? It's only 6 years.
Only 6 years.
Wow, it seems like you, to be honest, weirdly enough, although I guess to me that's like a short time, but I guess in wrestling that is a long time. 6 years of dedication to a job and a craft.
And been doing it religiously, hardcore. I haven't had to break off or anything.
Was that like a Jesus joke there?
I was trying to sneak it in there.
Yeah, you're one of the because when I started, and when a lot of guys start, they call them the weekend warriors, or you do your job and you kind of try to find your way into doing more than once a week or more than once a month.
Right.
But you submersed yourself in that High Spots, North Carolina world, right?
Yeah, I from the get go, I was there every weekend, hardcore.
Well, what's the difference between, I guess, somebody who might just go to a school and there isn't anything, they might go to a wrestling school in, let's say, Rhode Island or something, and the difference between like being in that highspots.com plug world?
Well, most
Because
wrestling schools-
it's just submersed by, there's just wrestling
Right.
everywhere, right?
everywhere. And they're connected with everyone, whether it's New Japan or ROH, WWE, TNA, everything. So when you are associated with High Spots, you have connections with everyone, and there's always a show going on that we're somehow involved in, whether it's small carnival show or whether it's big stadium shows, doing whatever.
Are you from Charlotte area?
I am born and raised in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Okay,
Yep.
so that's nice that it was right. That was a cute, like, half-ass woo from somebody else.
Try to fit it in there.
You've seen that guy around the office, huh?
Only like maybe 3 times.
Only when
since
he
I've been
needs
there.
money.
Only-
Or wants to rip somebody off.
he still owes money.
He still owes High
Still,
Spots money.
Like, I don't know the exact number, but it's in the 6 digits, I think.
It's a Jesus.
I think.
Christ. He'll just sell his robe for the 95,000th time.
Does he even
Like,
have
we
that
know
thing?
you only have 2 robes, Rick. How have you sold 90 of them?
They're all counterfeit.
Yeah. So you get in there. You're in that world. You're in the Charlotte world. Who do you go to train with?
George South, Jake Manning was actually the guy who took me on days when George couldn't. And funny story, when I first signed
That's
up,
what we're here for.
when I first signed up to wrestle and get trained and everything, Jake was one of the guys that was in the office just walking around doing his thing because he does all the video editing for High Spots, and he assumed I was someone else that he didn't like. So as I'm going around trying to introduce myself, hey, my name is Cedric, blah 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 blah. He looks at me and walks off and completely blows me off for no reason at all. And comes back about 10 minutes later and goes, hey, man, I'm sorry. I just thought you were this real piece of shit I didn't like. So, my bad. Welcome here, kid. And then walks off.
Oh, so the moral of that story is Jake Manning, the Man Scout, is a racist.
According to everyone else, we all look alike.
Yeah, allegedly.
Allegedly.
I got to drop a lot of allegedlys in this thing now, apparently. George South. So George South was on my podcast, and I urge you guys all to go back and listen to that because he is something else. A wrestler, and Jake Manning and I, when I did a podcast with him too, we talked about that a lot. He's a wrestler who's done, I guess, quote unquote, jobs for everybody for years, and has been around. And his claim to fame was like a sweet match against Ric Flair on television, right?
Yes.
And,
That he always claims that Rick handpicked him to do.
Right.
Which you
and
can't,
now
can't say he's lying.
And now Ric Flair owes him $100,000.
Just like every other person in wrestling.
Yes. And so, what was it like being under the George South tree?
It's always entertaining day with George because he gives everyone nicknames.
Mm-hmm.
But I got 6 or 7 different nicknames, and he dropped them all.
Can I guess?
Go ahead.
Hey, Junkyard Dog. Hey, Bad News Brown. Hey, Mabel. You were chubbier back then. You were chubbier.
I was. That was a little. That hurt a little bit. That hurt a little bit.
Okay, what were your nicknames?
Okay, so first you got right. You want to add to
I
that?
got right?
You did. I swear. No. He's good. He's good.
Coco? Were you a Coco?
I was Coco Beware Jr. I know. Hey, it's the Mohawk, man. Come on. I was Ron Simmons Jr. Yeah. Yep. I was Black Lesnar.
Black Lesnar. That's wonderful.
That's another one. No, wait. Here's my favorite one. Tommy Blackrich. Don't know where that one came from.
Well, that's Tommy Rich,
Well, I mean, yeah,
but you're black.
but what about me says Tommy Rich?
But I love the idea that that's a new last name, Black Rich. Like if you say it fast. Go, okay. And what, did he stick with anything?
No. He
No.
just calls me Cedric now.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah. I'm one of the few handful of guys.
That's like when
that
I
gets
had.
my own name.
That's like when I had like my bar mitzvah and I became a man. You've become a man. You're ready to enter this world when you're called by your regular name by George South.
There's another funny story behind that one too,
Okay.
about why he decided to only go with that name. We were leaving a show where we just did a ring run for George, and on the way back, this one MySpace was still big, so it was a while ago.
Still is, bro. My book. It's /MySpace/ Colt Cabana. Hit me up.
So I got on this thing where I would get on him about, hey, why have you accepted my friend request? And he all of a sudden goes, George South don't accept black people.
Oh God.
It was said jokingly, and we all laughed it off.
But it came out very racist.
It came off very racist, very racist.
Yeah.
So when I dropped him off at his house, he invited me inside. I saw his gigantic museum of wrestling memorabilia from literally everyone in wrestling you possibly think of, from Eddie Guerrero to just Ricky Steamboat and Wahoo and et cetera, et cetera.
Just in his family room?
Yeah.
Really, like most people, it's like in a hidden basement around. Like, have you ever seen those like weird Hulk Hogan tapes where he's in that Hulk Hogan basement? Well, different weird Hulk Hogan tape, but his is just like it's not even in a separate office. Just you walk in the family room and it's just a shrine
there.
to him.
It's a gigantic.
Is it a shrine to him or a shrine to wrestling?
Shrine to wrestling.
Okay, and he is Mr. Wrestling.
He is number one, George South.
number one.
Mr. Number One.
Amazing. You're number one. You're doing really good. I do want to plug your contract with Ring of Honor, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's very cool. And that happened almost 4 years into wrestling, or
Oh no, I was 2 years into wrestling. When I first
2
got
years
there.
into wrestling.
2
You've been with
years.
them that long.
I've been with them that long.
I've not been with them that long. That's I'm putting that. My math was incorrect. I'm sorry. Wow, that's pretty awesome. and it's just all moving forward.
Slowly but surely, I'm feeling I'm kind of in like a lag phase right now, just kind of hanging out, doing whatever. But it's moving along. We get more international bookings, so I feel like a superstar.
Where are you going now?
I'm going to England next in a couple weeks, actually.
Hey,
So that'd be cool.
That's great.
Yay, England.
Great. And where are you at on the internet?
Twitter, Cedric Alexander. Instagram, Cedric Alexander 1. Yeah, that's all I really use. Don't ever talk to me on Facebook. It's weird. Don't do it. People bother me. It
The
gets
lady
awkward.
in the front row just said, "Okay."
That's why we have Twitter. That's why we have Twitter.
That's your rules.
That's my
Everyone
rule.
has different rules. I am okay with the Facebook talking.
Well, the thing about Facebook, though, you get a lot of weird people asking for a lot of weird things.
That's not Facebook. That's life. Cool.
I suppose.
Cedric Alexander, ladies and gentlemen.
You're welcome.
So now, in the weirdest thing of all time, I please welcome up to the stage his brother, Josh Alexander. There he comes. That was, as I was writing down like a fake ass lineup up here, I put those two together and I was like, oh, you gotta follow, yeah.
You're definitely not the first person to, yeah.
But-
We've gotten that on Twitter for years now.
For years, but when I realized it to myself, I thought it was the smartest man in the world. Like I was so happy with myself. I was waiting on that joke, basically.
The best part about it is when we first got our bookings with Ring of Honor, there was this big uproar because they were talking about maybe signing us, I guess, and everybody kept.
You mean the Great Alexander Brothers?
No. Me and Ethan Page as Monster Mafia, they were talking about, all they could talk about was how Ethan Page had to change his name because they already had Adam Page, who'd only been there for a minute at the time. But nobody ever mentioned Josh Alexander.
Yeah, they couldn't give a fuck about you. Sorry. Well, so you guys aren't related then?
No, not at all.
No, you're good. You're good. Hey, so Josh, I wanted you to have on the show. Sadly, your wrestling career has came to an end, right?
Yeah, I had my last match, I think July 11th here in Alpha One.
And is this a Terry Funk retirement match?
If you ask any of the boys in indie wrestling, they'll say so. But,
They say so.
I'd like to think it's not.
Okay,
But it's
and-
definitely difficult.
And I know it's difficult for you, but it's difficult for me because on your big blog, as you're going away, it was like, I didn't get to be on Colt's podcast. So selfishly, I make it all about me, and I was sad, even though I get to continue living my great life as a professional wrestler while you're depressed at home not wrestling.
To be honest, I never thought you would have read it. But no, I'm just a big fan of podcasts in general. And when me and Ethan Page, obviously, traveling to Chicago back and forth, we kept going. And every time we go, we'd be like, you think we're going to make it on Colt's podcast eventually? And then, Elgin would get on and talk about deadlifts and dip. And we're like, we can do that. Come on.
And so I'm glad that we could be here and I can have you on the show. And going into it, I guess these ones are made to be, fun and funny and me relying on Jesus jokes to get by. But it is, I guess, the day will come for all of us, I guess, and the day, came for you. So you had, you had to hang it up, or you felt you needed to hang it up?
I hurt my neck. I had my first neck surgery, and I kind of swept it under the rug, didn't want anybody to notice. And I returned 5 weeks after my surgery.
Jesus.
Yeah, that was here against Ricochet last year for Final Act.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just kind of plugging away, working through the pain, just trying to because we were so close to PWG at the time, we kept hearing that was a possibility, and that was always a goal, because that's a springboard for more things, and Ring of Honor was kind of there. So,
And also PWG is amazing and awesome.
oh, yeah. And I just didn't want to slow down, so I kept working through it, and I finally got to a point where I felt like I was getting back to normal. And as soon as that happened, I broke my neck again.
Oh, fucking hell.
Yeah.
What was the first broken neck from, I guess?
Ring of Honor last year in Michigan, I took a tornado DDT from Kyle O'Reilly, and it was just one of those things where when you hit, you're like, I feel like something happened, but no, I got out. I dodged a bullet. I got home, and my right arm stopped working.
Did it end up working? Did it work eventually, or did it only start working after the surgery?
Well, no, it 90% of the strength of my right arm was gone until surgery, and then it took maybe 3 months after surgery for the strength to come back.
Yeah, and like, these shows are these shows, and I know they mean the world to the promoters who put them on. Like an Alpha One or whatever it is, and it's interesting because if I look at it in the fans' perspective, it's like we as the wrestlers should just expect the fans to come and just have a good time. Like, it's just we're here to entertain them, have a good time. And, I think if you ask the fans, if you're like, hey, is it okay if this dude doesn't come? He just had neck surgery 5 weeks ago. They'd all be like, yeah, of course. Like, why would you even think about that? But as wrestlers, even on like, I don't want to say the smaller circuits, but, like when it's not televised or when it's not, an international whatever, even depending on where we're at, we have this feeling like we need to still do it. Where it's like I don't want to say more important, where what the fans hold the show in as opposed to what we hold it into.
Yeah, the year before I hurt my neck, I hurt my back and I took some time off.
Yeah.
And just the blowback I got from promoters not trusting me after that, or like some of the boys thinking I was faking it or something like that, like not being tough enough. Like I wanted to prove everybody wrong, and I was too stubborn, right?
Right. And so it's no matter what the show is, like you're just like it's about being on the scene.
Yeah, it's about getting your name out there at every single spot and making sure everybody sees you, and it's just this constant ladder that's you're never going to reach the top of your ladder.
Yeah. And then what was so you're back in that, and then what was the second?
The second one was at PWG. I came off of Matt Seidel was giving me a Meteora while I was in a powerbomb on Sabin, and it was just mistimed, and I ended up landing right on the top of my head. And I thought I dodged a bullet again, and we flew home. I wrestled another show, and then the Monday I texted Ethan Page. I was like, my left arm doesn't work. It's the exact same thing.
It's both arms.
Yeah.
And then right into surgery, or
no. I wrestled for another 3 months. I said I get us through DDT.
Yeah.
And
which is the tag tournament in Gorilla.
Yeah, which was always the goal. And I planned my retirement match and finished up everywhere that meant something to me, like AIW and AEW, and just kind of went out on my terms.
Right. And is everything back to normal?
Today I feel way better than I have in probably 3-4 years.
And but you're still like, nope.
Oh, every single day I have to convince myself not to come back to wrestling. Yeah, I wake up and I'm like, you know what? I just worked out. I'm feeling good, blah, blah, blah. But then I talk to Ethan Page or anybody that I keep in contact with, and they're like, yeah, but remember, like, you don't want to be paralyzed, stuff like that.
All right, I say we have a convincing party right now. Let's bring Ethan Page onto the stage. Let's bring Ethan Page on. You know what? You're always the bad guy, are you not, Ethan?
Yes, but you are a grown man, Josh. You can make your own decisions.
He's only
Don't
saying that
come
because there's a
back.
whole crowd here.
Yes, that is exactly why. But imagine if your best friend broke his neck twice, would you let him keep breaking his neck?
Come on, let's have a neck breaking party. Super kick party seems to be a cool thing. What about neck breaker party?
Josh will pass on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. So it's nice to have the Monster Mafia on the show.
Yeah, you get the reunion.
Right? And I thought it would be nice because, let's be honest, you'll be tagging in 2 years, but to get the Josh, I know it's got to be hard, right? Out of wrestling, and like you had this team, and then like it's not a team anymore, I guess.
Yeah, no, it's difficult, but like at the same time, I'm best friends with him enough to where I can see everything he's doing, and I'm happy that he's doing, like having all the success he's still having, right?
So you guys formed as a team, the Monster Mafia, but I'd imagine because I watched as you guys originally were just coming with Elgin to the shows and whatnot. Was it not a scenario where kind of like where Punk and I maybe were like the Gold Bond Mafia, where we had wrestled each other a million times, and it's eventually like, oh, people know us as a thing, we should kind of be a tag. Jimmy Jacobs and Alex Shelley is another example. Reckless and Quackenbush. And you follow in a nice
Hero, Claudio.
Hero and Claudio, yeah.
That's was my selling pitch to Josh. Also, I knew he was a better wrestler than me, and I was charismatic, so I was like, well, why don't we just become one wrestler?
Were you the hero or the Claudio?
Neither. I was the driver. So that was like my selling pitch to Josh was there's not a lot of big tag teams on the scene, and our original goal was to get to PWG. So we were like, well, if there's 2 tag teams there and 15 singles wrestlers, let's throw our name in the hat in the tag division, and we'll get up that ladder much quicker. Less guys to beat out.
And did you guys who on that like? But as you do a tag, as a singles, you can I don't know. You have to like you have to wrestle other people. I'm the worst at this. No, like you have to establish yourself against different teams, I guess, right? So like you can't obviously you want to go to PWG, you can't just like straight go to PWG. You got to then build that ladder. As a singles, you can wrestle the different single stars, maybe the different stars. Did you guys find yourself having like matches against people that would eventually get you to that place? Were there teams like that?
Yeah, I can totally credit the Young Bucks. We wrestled them in front of like 30 people on iPay-per-view for IWL. Like they were the ones that gave us our first big opportunity against them.
What if that 30 people there, but there was like 10,000 participants?
No, I think it was the Young Bucks actually being like, hey, these random dudes are pretty good. And then they kind of started bumping elbows and putting our name in the hat.
Well, that's California.
Yeah.
So
we were in Cali.
Yes, but as wrestling, as independent wrestling, it's very hard to just go from Canada. And I always say that the Canadians are harder to kind of get your name out there. Maybe not Toronto because it's an easy swoop to the Midwest. But, these guys in Vancouver and these guys, it's hard to get yourself out there if you're just in one place. Like, how do you get yourself to go to Canada or to go to California?
This is 100% Ethan Page. He was my agent the entire time we were wrestling. I've never talked to a promoter in my life.
Never.
So
Yeah.
Just
they never wanted to talk to me.
Yeah, he was the product. I was selling the product. And that's how I would get us everywhere. And I would always be like, come on, Josh, let's go to this random show in the middle of nowhere. There's going to be 15 people here, but that's 15 more Twitter followers, 15 more fans. If we get over in the small company in Chicago, we'll get to the big company in Chicago. Then we'll go to this town, do the same thing. And I was always like, come on, please, keep with me, keep with me. And then eventually he was on board, and we started like rising stock in our name, and then someone flew us out to California, and then the rest was history.
Right.
Yeah.
And when you say that, there's a lot of hours in the car.
Yep.
Yeah. What were some of the hectic drives?
Minnesota for Ring of Honor the first time was deadly because I think it's 18 hours one way.
Yeah, and I assume fans think that like, oh, that's just an easy flight, or but the reality is a lot of those guys are doing that drive.
Oh, in that car, it was Elgin, Slesia, us, and Eddie Edwards, and we were in the smallest car possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was me and Josh, and then Eddie Edwards in the middle. He would lean forward, we would lean back.
Yeah.
He'd be like, all right, my back hurts. All right. So we would lean forward, yeah.
And a lot of border trouble.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'm the one with the border heat. He's the one that lied. I'm the one that got all the heat. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you want to do this one?
Well, are we going to talk about the first Ring of Honor booking?
Sure.
Okay. So I'll start because I'm the one that started off the trip. I live furthest away. I drive to Slesia's house. I get to Slesia's house. We switch cars.
Also, like in real life, like I love that no one is laughing at that, but like if anyone else not in wrestling like heard the story of like, oh, I went to Slesia's house, and that's an acceptable thing.
We switch cars. We drive to his house, which is another hour closer. We switch cars again. We get 3 hours to, we're like 20 minutes from the Windsor border crossing.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I'm laying down in the back now, and I sit up and I grab my hair and I go, fuck! And everybody turns and they're like, what's going on? I was just like, my passport isn't here.
I've never been more mad in my life. This was our first like real booking for Ring of Honor on the main show. We're like, we're going to do this crappy drive. We got Chicago the night before against Davey Richards and Kyle O'Reilly. So we're like, we're going to brush shoulders with Ring of Honor guys, then do Ring of Honor the next day. This is our weekend.
What are you thinking?
I wasn't. My passport was in the second car from the second time
How
we
is
switched.
that like when I do any of these international, it's like on the, like right next to the door, and I put like Post-its with arrows down to it.
I know. But the the man with all the confidence and the ego, just turns. He goes, "You know what? Fuck it. We're gonna go."
Stop.
That's all he did.
I promise you.
And he's like this voodoo crazy psychic guy. He just
yep.
goes, "If it's meant to be, it's meant to be."
Whoa,
And he just
we got a
drives.
real truth martini over here.
That's exact. I looked at him and I said, "We're getting across. Give me your license."
Unbelievable.
Meanwhile, Sleazy is in the front, turning around, going, "I thought I was the idiot," like
Yeah.
just making fun of me the whole time. But
got across.
We roll up to the border.
Yeah.
I just handed the guy my license, and he just, have a nice time.
Yeah. So as soon as we got there, I was like, "This idiot forgot his passport. I'm so mad at him. Like, I'm so sorry. We have his license, though. Is that okay?" He's like, "What are you doing?" Told him what we were doing. We got across.
No, we told him we were going to your uncle's for a barbecue.
We might have stopped by, maybe not. I don't know.
Allegedly.
Little did they know it was Uncle Kerry Silken, owner of Ring of Honor. Well, then, and so Ethan, things are looking up for you. Mm-hmm. Everything's going well.
Yeah, really well.
You've now entered the www.wwn. banner, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Is that exciting?
Yeah, it's as cheesy as it is a dream come true because like he was
super cheesy.
Yeah, no. He was running Ring of Honor when I was a fan. So like that's what I grew up watching, and now to be under that banner after he told me he'd never use me and now I'm one of his guys. It's kind of like one of those, you know what? You said no, but I still did.
Did you
it.
rub that in his face?
Last weekend I did, and ironically, the only people in the room that heard him compliment me, because this was his thing, he goes, "If you're not one of the best in the world at one thing, I'm never going to use you." 3 years later, I was like, "So what am I the best in the world at?" And he's like, "Nothing." I was like, "Damn it." And then he goes, "I'm just kidding. Right now, on the mic, on the indies, you're the guy." And I was like, "Oh, thanks so much." I look around, no one's there except Timothy Thatcher, who doesn't even have the internet.
Or a front tooth.
Yeah. I'm
He
like,
whistles when he talks.
who's going to vouch for me that Gabe Sapolsky complimented me? Oh, this guy.
But everybody heard him call you fat 6 years ago.
Yes. Yeah.
I love grudges. Nick Bockwinkel told me I was shit. That's great. That's one of those things that keeps you moving. Like it's good positive bitterness. I always say. You're right.
Yeah, but I'm going to give him credit because he's one guy that I work for that actually pushes me. So like when I do my promos, he's saying like camera's in the wrong spot. You need to emphasize on this. You should be more intense at this part, accentuate this. So he actually cares enough to be meticulous, and that's what I like because that's going to make me better. So yeah, we ended up now we have a good working relationship.
Very cool. Where are you guys at on the internet?
Twitter, walking_weapon still,
Yeah.
even though it's kind of not relevant now.
And what are you doing with your days?
I'm a father. I have almost a 1-year-old son,
That's great.
which takes up all your time. And I'm just climbing the corporate ladder, man.
Yeah.
Trying to be a normal person.
Doing what?
I'm a mechanic.
Is that corporate?
It's very boring.
Sounds the opposite.
It
of
sounded
corporate.
cooler to say.
Yeah, I really fucked that one up. Sorry. Where you at?
My Twitter is @officialego. And any shows I have coming up, I'm really good at just plugging in and saying what city I'm in. Yeah,
I thought you were just saying any shows I'm at. I'm really good. I'm really good.
you can
at.
actually edit the rest out and just keep just that. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Give it up for Josh Alexander and Ethan Page.
Sorry to interrupt, but it's Movember, and I got a beard now, and part of that beard is a mustache, and I take care of all of it with the official razor partner of Movember, talking about Harry's, the razors that are in my bathroom, which I can see right now from where I'm recording this. I feel you guys know my spending habits pretty well, and razors were always something that just did me in, especially when you're first trying to live on your own and you're not just taking your dad's razors from his cabinet. It was a big part of my budget, and now it's not. Harry's is the best, free shipping, and crazy savings because the dudes just bought a German factory, and now there's no middleman or middle plexiglass cabinets. A starter kit is only $15, $5. It's a razor handle, 3 cartridges, and shaving cream. Free delivery, but use my code COLT. You get $5 off if you're a first timer. That's $10 for all of that. Over 1 million guys have switched to Harry's. Plus, it's the holiday season coming up. This is a no-brainer gift. You can gift it. If it's for you, a friend, or your favorite podcaster, go to harrys.com now, put in my code COLT, and get that $5 off. That's harrys.com. Use the code COLT and shave up that Movember mustache properly.
Okay, really quick. Every single week we have a song of the week. And I want to bring up a friend, especially to Alpha One Wrestling. Let's give a hand for James, everybody. Let's give a hand for James. Come on up here. James, how you doing?
Not bad, yourself?
Okay, now James can be seen on my Cut My Promo this week on YouTube channel. He does amazing. You told me today you got a raise at Alpha One Wrestling?
Yeah, I did.
What's your official title now?
I am now the operations manager of Alpha One Pro Wrestling.
And what were you before?
Assistant manager.
Assistant manager. Moving on up in the corporate world, right?
Almost ready to own the whole damn thing.
Yeah, you're almost the owner. You're getting there. Song of the week, actually, we're going to come back from a promo. Hey, guys, use Harry's, right? Harry's Razors. You love that promo I just did that you can't hear now. I'm going to make you sing a song.
I can't sing.
Oh, no. Yeah, you're going to sing a song with me. The song is called I'm the Mountie. I brought my headphones. Do you know the song?
No.
How do you not know this song? Okay, you got to say the words. I wrote them out nice for you. Into the microphone.
Can't read.
Is that legit?
No.
I did not doubt that. And I felt really bad. Give it a shot, and I'll do it. Do 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 do.
I am the Mountie.
Yeah.
I can't sing.
I'm handsome.
I'm handsome.
You're what else?
I'm brave.
And
I'm strong.
yay! I'm the Mountie.
I'm the Mountie, and I'm enforced of the law.
You can try to run.
You can try to run, but you can't never hide.
Because?
Because I'm the Mountie, I always get his man.
Yeah! Thanks, James. Very good. James, ladies and gentlemen. CutMyPromo.com to check him out. We have two more guests. We're going to get a wrestler here, and then I got a nice fun surprise at the end. So please welcome to the stage one of my favorite wrestlers, I think, in the world, Officer Dick Justice. Here he comes. We were talking about borders before. Are you all right? Did you get through?
Oh, my goodness, man. So I get a message from Paige at like 1 o'clock.
Diamond Dallas?
Yes. I also got the message from Ethan Page.
Okay.
Like, hey, we need you here at 1:45. And I'm like, well, that would have been nice to know, 3 hours ago, too.
You have the most soothing voice.
Thank you. I got it from my mama. I got a couple of my feet, I got the same hair and eyes, and we're both 5 foot by 5 foot.
And mustache?
Oh, she has the best mustache.
No, whatever. So Ethan and Diamond Dallas Page say, get here at 1:45.
Right. So I'm panicking in the car. I'm like, okay, we can get there by 1:45. So we get up to the border, and this has never happened to me before. I didn't think it was possible to happen because, I'm America. Mm-hmm. And they take our passports, they're asking all the questions. I'm like, all right, let's just go. Let's go. It's time to go. And they go, okay, well, you're going to need to go into immigration because you need papers to come over and wrestle. And I'm like, no.
America.
We've never had that problem before. So we go in there, and I'm sitting there, and I'm biting my nails, and I'm twitching, and I'm sweating. And
I'm sorry, you're what?
Sweating.
Okay. Thought I heard you were sweating.
Little column A, little column B.
Okay.
So finally, they give us back our passports. It's like 1:30. I'm like, man, I'm going to be late. I'm not going to be able to be on the podcast. I'm nervous. So Cheech is our driver. He gets us here 2 o'clock. Beautiful timing. And now that I'm finally calmed down and not disheveled.
Great word.
Yeah, I know a couple of them.
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot, though. Here I am, and that was my first negative Canada experience.
Oh. I'm I think that was the greatest thing that's ever happened.
And if I didn't do all my crying at Border Patrol, I'd be doing it right now.
I know. Oh, bless you guys. Did they not know that you were an officer of the law?
No, they had to do. I figured they were going to check the bag and be like, "Oh my God, we are so sorry."
Yeah. Wait. Hold on a second. Sorry, or do you think that'd be weird if they're checking your bag and they open it up and there's just like fake cop like uniforms, a badge, a gun?
You'd probably have somebody else in this seat right now.
Did you even think about that? Is there a fake gun in your bag?
No.
Is there
Just a real one.
Just a real. Okay. Now, for those of you who haven't experienced Dick Justice, can you explain Dick Justice? What would be the cover letter on Dick Justice?
Freedom.
Is Dick Justice a policeman? Is he just a man of America?
He's a police officer. He is from down south. His father was a police officer, so he's rised up through the ranks, somehow earned himself the title of the super cop.
You don't feel that? Do people feel that he got the super cop title due to being a second generation policeman and not working his way up through the independent cop world?
Well, I started off as mall security.
Okay. Doesn't surprise me.
And then it's a sweet gig. Anybody looking for security, do the security job. Sweet gig. I've never gotten the best sleep in my life.
I thought you were going to say I've never gotten so much puss in my life.
No.
Did you pull as the mall?
That comes when you're doing crossing guard duty.
Oh.
Hold on. From single moms.
You know, I worked at a camp once. That's not gonna. But I was a camp counselor for years, and like nothing ever happened. But when those moms would drop off those, they were like, oh.
Well, luckily, I was 19 and I look like I'm 36. But I have the brain of a 12-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
So, they're like, oh, okay. Well, little Tommy said that you prevented him getting hit by a car. And I was like, oh, I did. I mean, yes, I did.
Yes,
absolutely, I did. Yes, I did. And that's
then where would you take them on dates?
Well, the Sizzler used to be the spot.
Right.
We don't quite have those anymore. Right now, I use the TGI Fridays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
Bottomless appetizers.
Sure. Do you want to eat in front of a woman though?
Well,
Or
I don't want them to see any surprises.
Okay, because sometimes, when I'll go out on dates, I try to eat healthy, and I'm kind of like the girl of the situation. Like I eat the salad, and I don't want to show them that
What is salad?
Fair enough. So you've worked yourself up to the super cop.
Yes.
And what does a super cop entail?
It gives me the jurisdiction wherever I go. So, based in Rochester, if I go to Chicago, I got jurisdiction there. I go down south, jurisdiction there. I come up to Canada, it's questionable.
We saw what happened.
But everybody here is really nice except for the Border Patrol, so everyone just kind of goes about their business anyway.
What are you using this jurisdiction for?
Well, we got to fight the bad guys.
So you're just, if someone's a bad guy, you're allowed to just beat the shit out of them.
We got to have probable cause.
Okay. Yeah, this could get political real quick, I think.
I do a lot of paperwork.
Do you? And by paperwork, do you mean rolling up the papers?
No.
No.
Crazy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Putting sandwiches in these papers
Plastic bag.
and then put them in the plastic bag.
Yeah, the papers just usually end up in trash.
Okay. Where's the Super Cop? I mean, you go all over now. I've seen you in Chicago. I think we've tagged in Chicago.
We did.
We've tagged in Providence. We've tagged in Cleveland.
We worked in Cleveland.
What's this work talk? I'm no cop.
Well, like before, you remember that old lady that was crossing the street?
Yes.
Yeah, you held one arm, I held the other
It's
arm.
volunteer. I don't consider that work.
It was still work because you're doing civil duty work.
Yeah. Well, it's my civil duty to bang that booty.
You disappeared and I didn't know where you was.
And that is a line from a Jamie Foxx movie. Booty call, maybe? And I think it was civic duty. And it just got worse when I explained it. Sorry. I should have just taken it as my own, but I don't want to steal anything. I want to give credit where credit is due.
You're a good man.
I am. It's my civil duty. So, I mean, where else are you, Chad? I mean, you're wrestling a lot all the time, are you not?
Yeah. There's here, obviously. There's 2CW. There's AIW in Cleveland. I just started doing freelance over in Chicago. Dreamwave. I went down south to Ego Pro in Tennessee. That was a crazy time.
Yeah, Ethan Page owns that promotion.
He does. He does. Thank you for the monies.
And, I mean, you, dare I say, what would I say your style of professional wrestling is?
I just like to have fun, man.
You like to have fun. We're in the same manner, I think, of wrestling. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yeah. And so.
You're a far better, actual wrestler than I am. But
What are you then? What are you? You got to be, as I've learned on this podcast, you have to be the best in the world at one thing. What would that be for you?
I have really nice eyes.
Nice eyes. So if we were to rank the wrestlers in the world in eyes, one is Super Cop Dick Justice. Two would be, who's like your competition?
Oh, man. I don't know.
You don't.
I don't know. I'm like that really.
I put you on the spot, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. I'm not that cocky, arrogant number one. I don't even pay attention to all the rest of them. But then when I finally lose my number one spot, I'll be like, that was the guy.
Okay. A real Ronda Rousey situation, yeah? Sorry? Do you think you could beat Ronda Rousey in a shoot fight? No?
Maybe like the thing at like the bowling where it's like the little puck. Maybe that kind of shooting, but not in fighting.
Not in fighting.
No, I mean I've got like the tactical holds that we learned at the academy.
Yeah, I was gonna say, aren't you're known as a karate man, are you not?
No.
No?
I was an amateur wrestler.
Yeah?
Yeah, I did Greco-Roman for a couple years.
Okay. And that's what led you to the professional ranks?
Yeah, it did.
That
They were like, man, you are really good at falling over, so we're gonna bring you right over here. When you get to the heavyweight, it's just who falls over last.
Congratulations. And then what's going in the future for you? I mean, what are you looking at? What are you looking to do?
Next weekend, I got the CZW.
Yeah. But just in wrestling.
Wrestling in general, I'd really love to get over to the UK. That would be sweet.
I thought you were over there.
My tour got canceled the day before I was supposed to leave.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Bags packed, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed.
Jurisdiction ready.
I had notepads for like tickets and also caution tape.
Yeah.
So much caution tape. I had a whole suitcase full of caution tape and chalk for chalk outlines.
You're allowed to call people cunts over there.
I still feel it disrespectful.
Yeah. I felt the disrespect by saying that in this room. When I said that in Edinburgh at the podcast I did, people loved it. The groan in this room that I got.
You said it, and everyone's like,
Yeah. Why did we come see this man and his show? I apologize. Where are you at on the internet, Super Cop?
Super Cop Justice on Twitter, Dick Justice on the Facebook, Instagram, Super Cop Justice, and swipe right on the Tinder.
Dick Justice, ladies and gentlemen. Just for the record, so everybody knows, God, I love Dick. I love him. Okay, last but not least, I want to bring up a friend of mine who runs one of the funniest websites, I think, on the internet. He is the owner and the genius behind Kayfabe News. Please welcome Colin Hunter, everybody. Yes. Colin!
How are you?
A round of applause. Who reads? Oh, round of applause.
Who reads? Period.
Yeah.
And who reads Kayfabe News? Second.
Who reads Kayfabe News? Who likes the articles? Yeah. Also, I said round of applause, and everyone just raised their hand for some reason.
Okay, raise your hands.
And they start clapping. For those of you who don't know, The Onion meets professional wrestling, right?
I almost knocked over Jesus. I got these gangly legs.
For those of you who don't know, he's back. He's blessing this table. We're good.
Jesus.
We're good.
Jesus.
Right? Dare I say The Onion meets professional wrestling?
That's the goal. That was the vision, and I have no qualms about saying I just rip off The Onion style as much as I possibly can. But it's about wrestling.
It's
so.
about now. Do you remember like some of? Can I say? Do you remember like some of the headlines that your favorites maybe?
Man, I wrote some down of my favorites because I can never remember that. I've written 1,500 of these things over the past 4 years.
Really?
My goal is to write one every day, and I usually I remember the crappy ones more than I remember the good ones. I just did one. Ric Flair momentarily stops crying. That was I enjoyed that one. It's funny. I wrote down all the crappy ones, but I think I have some of my favorites in here too.
I sent you one once, and like I think I know what it's like. Like, because I know what it's like when someone's like, "Hey, Colt, you should do this move," and I'm like, "Would you stop it?" So like now I'm on the other end of it. I think it was. Do you remember the one I sent you? It was something with Ric Flair. It seems to be a lot of me bashing on Ric Flair on this podcast, deservedly so.
Well, there was something that you put up about Ric Flair, and then
it was something with like Ric Flair gets like maxi pad like sponsorship or something for his forehead. I don't know.
Yeah, I do get a lotot of ideas, and please don't be offended that I guess I didn't use that one.
No,
it's hilarious. Though.
Thank you. No, I wasn't it wasn't all the way worked out. I was just workshopping it on you, actually.
And a lot of times ideas come to me, and the idea is sort of not quite there, but I jot it down, and then I tweak a little bit, and I work on it, and it sort of comes to me. I did enjoy my one. When you had your finger infection, you almost lost your finger. Mm-hmm. Ailing Colt Cabana gets Make-A-Wish visit from John Cena.
Yes. And I believe, because I think someone brought me like a bear.
Yeah, you were holding a teddy bear in the hospital.
Did you Photoshop John Cena's face on that or something?
Well, he wasn't actually in the hospital, was he? Yes.
What if he did visit me?
Yes, it was just a picture of Colt in the hospital, and then because of the way the photo was arranged, I just had to take John Cena's head and have it poking in the side.
Yeah.
As he does, I'm sure, with all of his Make-A-Wish visits.
Yes.
I enjoyed the story I did. Great Khali goes on Colt Cabana's podcast to explain why he.
I shouldn't share a story, but like, Fandango's one of my fun friends, and he was on the original. One of my fun friends. That's just weird. Fandango's a friend of mine. He was on one of the early podcasts as Johnny Curtis before he even got the Fandango gimmick, and he once sent me a picture in the car of Great Khali riding shotgun on his phone, listening to my podcast. And it like blew my mind because I didn't think he would understand. Like, but I guess it was a story. There was a story on a live podcast that Brendan Burns told about heckling the Great Khali, and it has made his way to the Great Khali. So just like Josh said that like he didn't expect me to read it. Like we all read everything Believe me, every single wrestler is such an egomaniac. We all have Google alerts for ourselves. And even the great Khali wanted to know what Brendan Burns was heckling him about.
Well, I got to tell you, it brought great joy to my heart when I heard the super crazy story. What was the article?
Yeah.
Oh, that Del Rio had been deported. Like one day after his return, I did a story saying Del Rio deported and photoshopped this picture of him being escorted away. And apparently,
And we're in the bus in Japan with Super Crazy, and he's like, Chris Hero, like, is this true?
So I heard this podcast. I heard that on the podcast, and the next day I photoshopped a picture of Super Crazy being deported.
Yeah. And then he went, Chris, is this true?
Am I in jail?
Yeah. What else we got on here? We got a whole list of these.
Oh yeah. Well, these are the ideas that I actually liked. Veteran wrestlers agree that today's stars need to speed up and sell less.
I like that a lot.
And that came from I listened to a lot of podcasts, a lot of wrestling podcasts, including Jim Ross's, which is very good, not as good as this one. But
I was guessing that came from the first thing I guessed was that came from Jim Ross's podcast. No.
Well, the idea that wrestlers today need to slow down and sell more it's been Jim Ross is just. If you listen to his podcast regularly, you wake up in the middle of the night, like, slow down, sell more, sell more.
He's just got a cult of slow wrestlers.
Yeah. He should just turn down the speed on his TV, and he'll be totally happy.
Wow, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
0.5 it, Jim.
Yeah. Bray Wyatt goes back on his meds and apologizes for the odd behavior. There was one, and I was reminded, I was sitting across the street but while people were waiting outside to get into the show, and I was reminded of the headline, Female Attends Ring of Honor Show. I see a few females here, but from across the street, I was like, yeah, there's a lot of testosterone and no estrogen in that pile.
Story of my life.
Yeah. I looked at the analytics of Kayfabe News the other day on Facebook to see who's reading. 96% male. And I was like, wow, I got 4% female. Where'd all these females come from?
96% male, 4% transgender. What is that?
Colt said that. I didn't say that.
That's fine. Okay, so I did ask you to bring. What did I ask you to bring? I said.
Well, as you know, because I'm sure you get all sorts of you should have this guy on your podcast,
right,
or you should do suplexes more.
And you can. I'm glad that there's someone who can feel my pain of just wanting to say, "Shut the fuck up." Right.
I usually say, thank you for the idea, and then in my head, I'm screaming that.
Oh, you're way nicer than I am. That's why people like you.
So yeah, pretty much every day I get people who want to contribute a story or an idea to the site, and I applaud everybody for doing it. I love that they want to be engaged, but roughly 1% of them are actually funny or spelled correctly. And so a few years ago, I started a tally of all my favorite best worst kayfabe news ideas. So Cole asked me to jot some down. So these are the ones I consider sort of like really bad B horror movies. Like they're so bad they're good. They're actually kind of funny. Where's my favorite one? You should do a fake report stating I had sex with all the divas. So
wait, you or that person?
I don't know. Well, it's the letter U, not the word YOU. So ooh. And there's making up fake stories, which is one thing, but that's not actually like satire. That's a fake story, but I don't think there's anything funny, except the idea that a wrestling fan could sleep with all the divas. That is kind of ridiculous. But
what's the science to writing the article? Sorry.
Well, it's funny. I actually for years I wrote for Pro Wrestling Illustrated and those magazines, like the Apter magazines, and I don't want to burst anybody's bubble, but they're not 100% real.
Get out of here.
But I actually was so naive when I first got that gig. The editor Stu Sachs, we were talking on the phone, and he's like, "Can you do a story about the Dudley Boys?" I was like, "Okay, should I get their phone number and set up an interview?" And he's like, "I got something to tell you about how."
Oh man.
But so I was already writing in that sort of kayfabe style, right? And I was a newspaper reporter for years, not very far from where we are right now, right here in Ontario.
Hey.
I've always wanted to do that. I've never actually got to be in a wrestling ring. So.
You thought it was great, but there's one man back there in glasses who literally was sleeping and went the slowest arm raise went.
But I woke the guy up. I consider that a
Yes.
victory.
I saw you, sir, and that was not as funny as everyone saying I'm sorry, but right up there.
So yeah, the science is that I try to write it as if it's like real, legit journalism. You know, that's my background. I was a newspaper reporter, and I wrote for the sort of Apter magazines. And so the shtick is that I write about it about wrestling as if it's the most important, serious topic in the entire world. But it's so close to satire already. No offense. It's I find wrestling. I love the fact that you're doing like a documentary coming up about wrestling and humor because I find all of it funny, even the stuff that's not supposed to be funny.
Sure.
Like Paul Heyman. Period.
Paul Heyman's haircut.
Yes, the skullet and just everything about wrestling when it's done well. I find it can pull you in emotionally in all sorts of ways. But I find the whole thing just kind of funny. People putting on really tight clothes and not much of them and smearing up and then rolling around.
Us wrestlers have this conversation daily in the locker room, believe me.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing? This is so weird.
Did I see you? I saw you shaving someone's back in a movie.
Yeah, I shaved Sean
does?
Devari's back in the movie.
Yeah.
Mansum, available on Netflix. Never got any money for it.
So
I'm
the
not,
fact
man.
that you live in a world where shaving a guy's back is part of your
Totally normal.
routine.
Also, we can call a person sleazia, and that's okay.
Yeah. One of my first experiences behind the scenes in wrestling was at a show not too far from here, and Dewey Robertson, the missing link from Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. I was writing a newspaper article about him, and so I was following him around. I'm backstage at the show, and he asked me to smear baby oil on his body. At this age, he was 60-something and still huge, and he had me glue the tufts of fake hair onto the missing link. And I was like, this is the strangest thing that has ever happened to me. I remember Al Snow was in the locker room, and he was just watching me do this, just sort of shaking his head, like what life have I chosen?
A great life. Let's hit a couple more of these before we
All right,
wrap this
the
up.
terrible ideas?
Yeah, please.
This one's kind of weird. Undertaker converts to Islam. New name is Muhammad Ismail. I don't even know what the joke is. It's got a weird connotation now. This one I have to say, emphasizing where all the capital letters are. The real Americans in a match with Hacksaw Jim Duggan whoops them both with a flag painted 2x4, shows them what a real American is. Tough guy, hoey! So I don't correct any of the spelling on these.
Right.
Paige is getting a push. She's wearing a push-up bra. Huh?
It's all right. No, maybe not.
On the Go Home show before a pay-per-view, the wrestlers actually go home. Huh? See why I didn't publish these?
Yeah.
I should point out that I come up with terrible ideas myself. And there's a drafts folder of ideas that never sort of came to light. And I actually jotted some of those down, too. I called them My Terrible Ideas.
Perfect.
My Stupid Ideas. The Rock sidelined with people's tennis elbow. Too Cold Scorpio finally succumbs to hypothermia. Ooh, this one's new. Sunset Flip, known in Eastern Hemisphere as Sunrise Flip.
Yeah, that's all right.
I actually really do like this one. I may turn it into something. Bill DeMott investigated by Hugh Man Resources.
There you go.
Okay, I'm going to go with that one.
All right, look at it.
I've never actually had real-time testing of
Yeah.
ideas before. That's great. Can I do this every week?
Yeah, sure. Well,
Very helpful.
Comedians kind of say Twitter is their way of testing out jokes. It's almost like you can just come on my live podcast every week. Colin, thank you very much for being on the show.
Well, thank you. I wanted to say thank you because Kayfabe News only exists because of this guy. Because I interviewed you 4 or 5 years ago for a Canadian wrestling website, Slam Wrestling. Anybody? Yeah. And we talked about wrestling and we talked about comedy and the mingling of them both. And I was like, wrestling and comedy, eh? And so, I just said A. Damn it, I was not going to say A. I was not going to feed that stereotype.
Well, you did.
Damn it.
Yeah, and I've said before, I love, there's so many great things in the wrestling comedy world. And I think obviously Kayfabe News is one of them. And there's a lot of great people doing. I've said like the Botchamania guy, Matthew, and just there's so many different
Wrestling memes. I promised him I would mention.
Yeah,
memes.
the wrestling arcade guy too. There's a lot of really great stuff, and so it's great. I love when people do it and do it right, and you're definitely doing it right. KayfabeNews.com. Please go and try to read a story every day, right?
Yep, there's a new story every day, so go and read them. And for every time you click on a page, I get a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a penny. So.
There it is. All right, Colin Hunter, Kayfabe News. Thank you, buddy. Thanks very much. I appreciate it. Well, guys, that is the show for this week. Before we get out of here, let's get into some plugs and. All right. Sorry I have to do this because I don't want to do it in my apartment when I get home. Best way to support, ColtMerch.com, DigitalColt.com. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Colt Cabana. Follow me on YouTube, CutMyPromo.com, where you can see James cut this wonderful promo. I'll put it up soon for you guys. My email, ColtWrestling@gmail.com. I have a very public email. If you want to put me on your upcoming show or convention, hit me up. ColtCabana.com is my website. My P.O. box is on there. You can send me something through my snail mail. I have a P.O. box for that very reason. Upcoming this Friday and Saturday, November 20th and 21st, Sayreville and Keyport, New Jersey, ProWrestlingSyndicate.com. The Wednesday before Thanksgiving, Marty DeRosa and I are doing our comedy show in Chicago, Illinois at Cards Against Humanity headquarters. Those tickets are at ColtCabana.com, or you can reserve those tickets because the police told me I'm not allowed to sell actual tickets. So you can make a donation of the price that I want you to make at ColtCabana.com. Saturday, November 28th, Winston-Salem, North Carolina, WrestleCade.com. Sunday, November 29th, Providence, Rhode Island, Facebook/Beyond Wrestling. Friday, December 4th, Chicago, Illinois, FreelanceWrestling.com. Saturday, December 5th, Cleveland, Ohio, AIWrestling.com. Sunday, December 6th, Alton, Illinois, right next to St. Louis, PWCSWrestling.com. That will be for my Wrestling Road Diaries 3. Funny equals money. December 19th through the 23rd, I'm going to Tokyo, Japan. Go to Google Noah Wrestling and then click the translate button if you want to know information on that. Saturday, December 26th, Marionette Park, Illinois, AAWrestling.com. Friday, December 25th is Christmas. I won't be doing anything. I'll probably be at the mall or a movie or Chinese food. That's true. That's what we do. No. Okay. Jewish people go to Chinese restaurants. Thank you very much. The guy with the slow hand gave me a thumbs up. Big thank you to you guys for sitting here and coming to the show. Yes. Thank you to Alpha One Wrestling for hosting this and for being great. Thank you to the Alpha One Wrestling fans, which is you guys. Let's thank our guests, Josh Alexander, Cedric Alexander, Ethan Page, Dick Justice, and Colin Hunter of the Kayfabe News. Thanks to Cable Guy Jeff and Stu Stone, Kid Russell and Matt Jenkins on the music, Dave Miller with some tech. I do have some sponsors, highspots.com, where Cedric Alexander lives in the warehouse. You can go there, and if you buy something, you're basically paying for his bedding. And they have T-shirts. They have T-shirts, buttons, pictures, posters, DVDs. Also gear. They have some really cool projects over there. A wrestling ring, AMA knee pads, digital downloads. ProWrestlingTees.com is where you can get all the great T-shirts. It's buy1hourtees.com, but you can directly support your favorite wrestlers, including mine. I have some bigger sizes on there and some shirts that aren't on ColtMerch.com. And tweakedaudio.com/Colt, the best earbuds that I use. They are over there on the. Let's show them there, though. Those are some tweaked audios that I'm using. Get over 30% off and free shipping just because you listen to the show. I'm done. That is it. Thank you very much for coming. This has been The Art of Wrestling. For Colt Cabana, I'm Colt Cabana. Thanks.